All right, boys and girls. So for today's rounding practice, we're going to do a couple different things. We're going to talk about when do we round, what does round up mean, and when do we stay the same. So let's do some practice and we'll see how it goes. So the first one right here, you'll see I'm going to work over here while you're looking at the PowerPoint. But it says round to the nearest 100. So we have the number 63,000. You should be writing this down with me on a piece of paper, pencil, or on a dry erase board and marker. Doing it with me. So we have the number 63,978, and it specifically says to round to the nearest 100. Sorry, I'm just trying to probably very loud. And nearest 100. So the first thing we're going to do is where is the hundreds place? We have to identify that. So we're going to underline the hundreds place. And then we circle behind it. So the guy to the right is who decides whether that goes up or stays the same. So we know the big rule that we went over, we've gone over several times. It's 4 or less. Let it rest. 5 or more. Go up 1 more. Okay, so what that means in this case, since this number is 7, we know that means 7 is more than 5. 5 or more, go up 1 more. So we know that that 7 is more than 5, so it's going to make this 9. We're going to swoop to the left, and it's going to make that 9 go up 1 more. Now here's the trick with a number like that. Okay, we know for sure the 6 doesn't change because it's in front of the number being rounded. But when a 9 becomes a 10, it's almost like addition. It's regrouped. So we can't put a 10 in a single digit spot. We just can't do that. So what you do is you bring that 1 over here so that 3 actually becomes a 4. And then this stays a 0, just like if you were to regroup. Okay, I'm going to say that again. If it's 5 or more, go up 1 more. So since the 7 behind the place we were rounding, since the 7 was more than 5, we know this 9 had to go up 1 more, which would make it a 10. But we know we can't put a 10 in a single digit spot. You can't put a 10 in the 100 spot. It doesn't work like that. But what happens is that gets regrouped to the 1000s because we know that 10 groups of 100 equals 1000. So therefore it becomes another additional 1000. So 1000 plus 3000 is 4000. And then the hundreds place gets a 0 as a placeholder. And then everything else behind the place that we're rounding becomes the big fat goose egg. All right, so let's try the next one. It says round to the nearest 10. It's the number 95,431. So I'm going to write that down. 95,000. You should be doing this with me, guys. 431. I'm going to underline the tens place because I know I'm rounding to the tens. Okay. I'm going to circle the guy behind it and draw my little swoop. Circle the guy behind it and draw my little swoop because the circle behind it is the one that decides, does he go up 1 more or does he rest? It's 4 or less, let it rest. So since 1 is less than 4, we know that 3 is going to rest. And also, we know that everything in front of the tens place gets left alone because it's not that tricky 9. We know the tens place is staying the same, and everything behind it becomes a 0. Some of you are writing like just from the tens place over. You can't forget about the numbers in front, okay? So those numbers are still should be there. You're just rounding to the tens place means that you're rounding to that place. But the rest of the numbers in front of it, unless it's a tricky 9 deal like this one, all stay the same. Okay, you can't just magically go from it's all about estimation. So if I said 95,431 people and somebody said, well, round that up, to an even number for me, and they said, okay, 95,430, you wouldn't go 30 people. That wouldn't make any sense. You wouldn't, that it would be crazy. So you want to make sure that you're not getting rid of the numbers in front of the place you're rounding to. All right. Let's look at the third one. It says round to the nearest 1,000. It's the number 27,698. I'm going to make sure I copied that down right. 27,698. All right. And we're rounding to the nearest 1,000. So this is the thousands place. We're going to circle the guy behind it. I do it right away. And I'm going to swoop. And he decides this guy's fate. Okay, so this isn't a tricky 9. So I know automatically that the 2 stays the same because he's in front of the place we're rounding. And I know that that's 7. Sorry, I'm making that a little darker for you. I know that that's 7. Let's look at the rule. Okay, now is this 6 5 or more or 4 or less? It is 5 or more, so therefore that 7 is going to go up 1 more. Okay, so that 7 is going to become an 8. Our comma stays the same. Everything, and your big hint is everywhere you start the circling is where you start your zeros. So everywhere you start your circling should be a 0 from then on out. Okay, so that's your big hint too. We are staying the same here, and this one is up 1 more. Again, some of you some of you are saying, oh, 7 is more than 5, so I know it's going to go up 1 more. But your reasoning should be because of the number behind it. So that's how you would round these 3 numbers using this practice slide. All right, this next one, again, if you didn't understand that, go back, rewatch it, slow it down a little bit, pause it, write things down, okay? This one is, what place was I rounded to? So this one's a little trickier, but it's good critical thinking. Make sure things focused here. So the reason this one is asking is you might get something like this on your assignment for today. So 82,500, okay? What it's saying is what place did we round to? Well, what do we know? We know that whenever we have zeros, it means that is the place from then on out that it became the rounded to. So we know that it had to be rounded to the hundreds place because the ones and the tens are zeros. So it's pretty easy, guys. So all you have to do is, what is a number that could have rounded to it? Well, we would leave the 8 and the 2 the same because why mess with it, really? And it could be a couple things. It could be 82,510, because we know that the 1 would make that 5 stay the same. So therefore, we know that this could be rounded to this. We also know that if we wrote 82,000, again, no reason, and I went to a 4 and put like an 8 behind it, we know that 8 would make that 4 go up 1 more. Everything else would become a 0, and it would also connect to that. So keep that in mind and stop this video and pause it for a second and look it over and see what I did there and how it connects to this. All right, then the next one says 147,000. So we know the last digit. So if it's saying what place was they rounded to, it obviously has to be the 1000s because that's the last place that has a digit in it. Okay, so it has to be the 1000s place. So what place did I round to? I rounded to the 1000s place. Now I know that this could have been, leave the 1 and the 4 the same. It could have had a 7 in the thousands place again, and anything under a 4 or less could be in the hundreds because we know that 4 or less, that 7 would rest. Therefore, that number could round to that number. So in this case, I know it's just asking you what place you rounded to, but I just wanted to show you some examples of what numbers could round to those. All right, and then this last one here, 70,000. It should be pretty obvious what place you rounded to, the 10,000s place, because it's literally the only one that has the digit. We know that 70,000 could have been 69,000 because the 9 would have made this 7 go up 1 more. We know that this could have also been 71,000 because that 1 would have let that 7 rest. All right, so that's all that is really, is just what is the last place that has a digit in it that's not a 0, and that's the place you would have rounded to. All right, let's do a look at the story problem here. A zoo had 14,972 visitors Friday, 14,263 visitors Saturday, and 15,502 visitors on Sunday. It says round the 2 most popular days to the place of the underlying digit. Well, the first thing we need to determine is what does it mean to be the most popular days? Most popular means that the most people visited those days. So we want to pick out what are the 2 biggest numbers. So I know that definitely 15,502 is the largest number. And then I'm going to look for the next largest number, Well, 14,000 is the same, but the hundredths place is different. So I know that 9 in the hundredths place is bigger than the 2 in the hundredths place. So therefore, the other number I'm going to be working with is 14,972. Then I want to go back and I want to underline the same places that the problem has underlined. So in that case, it was the tens place, and then the other one, it was the hundreds place. I'm going to go back and read it again. It says, round the two most popular days to the place of the underlined digit. Well, I know that I circle the guy behind. Circle the guy behind. Swoop. 2 is 4 or less. Therefore, that 0 is going to rest. That's right. Everything in front of that guy stays the same. Everything behind it becomes a big fat goose egg, and it becomes 15,500. Let's do this one. Okay, this is that tricky 9. So we know that that 7 is bigger than 5. 5 or more, go up one more. So therefore that 9 becomes a 10. And what did we learn? We learned that if it's a group of 10, we cannot put it in the hundreds place. We can't put it in a single place. It gets regrouped because 10 groups of 100 is 1,000. So therefore we leave the 1 the same, but the thousands is actually going to change to 5,000, and everything else becomes a 0 because that guy's placeholder needs to be there. Just like if we were to regroup 6 plus 4, we'd put the 0, carry the 1, and the 0 would stay in the 1's place. So same thing here. Okay, so therefore we would round that number to 15,000. All right, guys, I'm actually going to stop there for this lesson for today. So hopefully that helps you out. Go back, rewatch it, slow it down, pause it, practice some of the things on your own with somebody at home, and take your time on the Edulastic assignment. And thanks for listening all the way to the end.